ResonateSolutions. We're based in North Sydney, and the main game that we're in is customer experience. So we try to make sure that large corporate clients that we do work for get to be able to connect with their customers as closely as possible, and that the customer then gets to connect back to the brand and have a two-way conversation and make sure that we stay on top of the game.
Sure. So how does that happen practically? Like, what are you doing? Do you use social media, or like how do you connect consumers with brands?
Yeah, definitely. We have two main paths that we go down. One is the social media part. So we run online communities for large brands. So people can come and join the conversation, talk about all the experiences that they've just had, whether it's positive or negative. We don't do any filtering there.
Yeah.
It's pretty moderated, so we make sure that any foul language and things like that,
Right.
That's
Yeah.
Of course.
Sure. But a comment can be negative, but
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's great.
Yeah, and then we have community managers that make sure that all of those get answered as well, so that there's
Right. So the opportunity there is to turn a negative into a positive if you respond well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Any communication going from the brand as well goes into a blog that's linked to that community where people can go and incite conversations and start it up. So that's one side. On the other hand, what we do is we run closed loop feedback programs, which means that it starts out with the NPS question and a promoter question. It's basically a loyalty oriented question.
Right.
So it's on a scale of 0 to 10, how likely are you to recommend
To a friend,
to a
sure.
friend? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you're familiar with the question.
Yeah.
What that allows us to do is get a bit of a gauge of what customer stance is towards the brand. Now, we've taken that from the top-down approach, which usually gets asked, how do you feel about the brand? But the brand in general, it doesn't make it actionable.
Right, it would need to be relating to a specific product or service that then you could modify, change, or work on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So we try to do it transaction-based. So I'll give you a concrete example. One of our clients, Qantas, where we're running this closed loop feedback program for, you get onto the airplane, you're a frequent flyer, we know everything about you,
Yep.
which is there to help you. Once you step off the airplane, you get phone beep beep, get an email, survey. We asked them the NPS question. We also asked them to put in verbatim text.
Right.
Why
So it's not
do
just
like this.
It's not just scales or yes no. It's real 100, 500 words about your experience, and then you can digest from that.
Oh, absolutely. Some
Sure.
people write more than that.
Yeah.
But
someone's going to read it on the end of it.
Well, not quite. Yes and no.
Okay.
We do read the interesting ones, or people read the interesting ones. But we also do natural language processing, where we automate a lot of that.
Right. So you can pick up trends that are happening in that feedback. So I don't know, like the gauge is 10 or 100 people have said, this should change. Then
Exactly. So we can pick up trends. We can pick up things like sentiments. But the whole point is people get off their flight, get this feedback, and at the end of the feedback, they ask you, how was your experience with regards to check-in, how was it with regards to the lounge,
Yep.
the in-flight experience itself, and then, do you want any of the managers to call you back from respectively in-flight lounge or the airport? Right? And that's really powerful, because what you get at that point in time is the actual person who was responsible for the flight or the check-in experience
Yep.
to be giving you a phone call and say, I'm terribly sorry that things weren't up to scratch, but how can we make things better for you?
Sure. So, and probably also somebody with the authority to action something, like a remedy or maybe a free ticket.
That's the whole point. That's the reason why it's not a call-centered person. That's
Right.
That's
I think
general.
we've all dealt with and support, so it's difficult. So go to the manager, and then that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
No, absolutely. So from that perspective, it's really important that we close the loop.
Yeah.
So they give us their feedback after the experience, and we make sure that we let them know how we handle that feedback.
Yeah.
So at that point in time, you have people that might be, negatively oriented towards your brand, becoming all of a sudden someone that is actually, going to be running off to their friends and family and colleagues and going like, oh yeah.
So are you seeing those people who are then happy with the brand then jump online on social media and share that? Or you maybe have a component of the website that's just an easy share this experience out to the web?
I'd love to say yes.
Yeah.
But identity on the social media net is just, it's not easy to relate it back to the identity.
Right, so you're using...
You know, people don't go and type in their loyalty card number when they go on their Facebook.
Sure, so there's no connection between the two really. You've got, frequent flyer versus social media. And
eventually
there's an opportunity, I think, to merge the two.
Absolutely, eventually we're hoping to get there. And what we can do is because our text analytics go across the board, so we do monitor the social media. You know, we've got partners that supply us with all the data. We've got these fancy BI tools that we push all of that into. And then we let people slice and dice and go through that, and we can determine themes that people are talking about in certain segments. You know, age groups, lifestyle segments, and so on. And we can try and match them up with what happens in the social media landscape. And so we can be quite sure that it's the same demographic that is talking about.
And so you guys use Azure for some of your, I guess, the back end for a lot of what you do. Could you talk on that, about how you use that and why you chose?
Sure. Well, one of the things that we use is a Microsoft technology called Pivot View. And what it allows you to do is take all of these really cool flying cards and put them into a more structured bar chart, and you go like, oh wow, this is great. I've got this column chart that I can compare all my different segments.
Sure.
But what we can allow you to do is actually look a bit deeper into that and go down to an actual card. And the card contains all of the transaction data, the customer segmentation data, age, gender, whatever, demographics, and what they, in verbatim text and scores gave you on their survey for the experience.
So that's all done through Pivot?
Exactly.
Nice.
Right? Now,
so on the back end, you've got data supplying that, and that's
we've got servers sitting where all of the data comes in. They're running SQL Server analysis services, build data cubes out of that, and then from those data cubes we get to select, how we want to drill down into, those 6,000 people, and build myself this card collection where I can go to a granular level and actually go and read the comments of, these people that might be very high value to me, but not very happy.
Sure.
So at that point in time, it becomes really important to make sure that you get the right people in front of the data, because every stakeholder can read through the same verbatim comment and get something different.
Interpret that differently.
Now, generating thousands and thousands of those cards, it's deep zoom technology, it's Microsoft. And behind every image, there's like a whole layer of images. It's divided into Morton trees, and so you got to build all of that. The deep zoom tools that come out of the box with that come out of the Live Labs, which unfortunately is no more, but they weren't geared towards an Azure kind of scenario.
Sure. So you guys had to build that part of it, connected to
Yeah, exactly. The first thing we did, we used the deep zoom tools. We built a proof of concept on one of our other servers. It was a cloud box that we could spin up until 16 gig, and not the greatest, but still, it was a VM that could run decent stuff. But it still took too long. We try and build 6,000 of those cards where we use templates to overlay the data and get all that together, and you want to get it out.
Well, that's right. Just click and it happen instantly.
Exactly. So Azure seemed like the next step for us to go. Why? Well, I had a bit of a look at different cloud technologies. But most of our stack is all Microsoft, and our development team. We've got about half a dozen people, and they're all Microsoft developers. Exactly. So the technology, it was just a very natural extension of what we were doing already. So, Azure seemed like the good way to go. Started playing around with it, and it actually turned out to be fairly easy to work with.
Nice.
Got a couple of pitfalls, so we got one of the Redify guys in, and look through the architecture and help out with that. Stephen Nagy, the MVP. That was really good. It was very, very helpful, and we started building it, and it was a really, really, really good thing to do, because right now we can just scale depending on how many cards we've got sitting in a queue. So we push everything up into the queue, and the queues are too long, we spin up more instances, and all of that, just goes rolling out. And we can guarantee towards our clients, that hey, once you hit that button, you know, your thing's going to roll out.
Sure. So do you have an ongoing relationship with the businesses you work with, or do you come in for a period of time, 3 to 6 months, whatever, and build the customer service side of it and then leave it up to them? Is it a self-managing thing, or
no?
How does that work?
We're essentially not a technology company, we're a services company.
Sure.
Because what we try to do is make sure that we can, you know, close that gap between the brand and the customer. So we're technology agnostic in a way, right? If we have better technology to use, we probably will, because we're there to service our clients in the best way possible, right? So we use a software as a service model for the stuff that we offer them, but not in a conventional way that, you know, it's like, oh yeah, here's your subscription or not. We actually say, all right, we've got this platform that, you know, comes with all of our analytics, you know, so we deliver reports and we help analyze the data and so on.
Data-driven, you know, purchases or modifications to their business. And,
exactly. Yeah. Because the typical audience that we deal with, it's a customer experience or a customer engagement division, and they're not per se the IT or the analytics, or, you know, so it's not at the level where you could per se just unleash it all and think, you know, it's going to roll all fine.
Right. It's a working relationship with them.
Exactly. And because we try to deliver the best experience possible for the brand, it's important for us that we, you know, keep an eye on everything that's happening and, you know, advise wherever we can, you know, without being intrusive, of course.
Sure.
And wherever it is wanted. You know, some of our clients have really capable analysts in-house that, you know, are really starting to drive this. And with others, you know, we just step in more ourselves and, you know, kind of go like on analysis as a service kind of.
Gotcha. I'm interested, some of the other clients you've worked with, Rental Sport. Yeah, what have you done with them? Just more of the same, just solving their customer service issues and relationships? Yeah,
it's very similar, even though it's a bit different from the fact that we're working with a branch network here.
Right, yeah.
You know, we're talking with stores
all over Australia.
We've got a split in brands, you know, the Rebel Group's got A-Mart, All Sports and Rebel Sports.
So sure.
Both of those are in the program. And we actually run all of these stores on this program, so you go there and you swipe with your season pass card, which is the loyalty card that Rebel uses. You go into a transaction stream, comes to us, and, you know, we ask you about your transaction. So it's a very immediate thing as well, and it actually drives change at a very low local level, because, you know, head office makes a lot of decisions about, you know, what's going to happen with, you know, all of our products and the marketing bits of it, and well, what are we stocking in which stores, you know, and there's some symbiosis with the store managers there and the regional managers. But it's very important that we allow them to have a window in, hey, what are my customers like?
Actually want
in the store, and you know, somebody's complaining that you don't have enough shoes in stock, and, you know, that's something to take note of. But if, you know, 10, 20, 30 people start saying that, perhaps, you know, it's an opportunity to grow that, you know, section of the store and so on. So
you've obviously seen a number of examples where businesses probably made changes based on customer feedback. I'm wondering what sort of an average tolerance would need to occur before they make a change. You know, is it 5, is it 100 people before they really are going to do something and action it?
Well, there's two things to take into account. One, of course, is, you know, what does this customer mean to the brand? You know, it's a voice by value proposition where, well, you know, it's logical. Because the people that will spend the most at your store are probably the ones that you want to make sure keep spending the most.
Absolutely.
Right? For sure. But any feedback that makes sense, you can go and test against it. Imagine that you get a certain piece of feedback. Say, hey, my in-flight experience wasn't good because I think your movie selection is really, you know, out there. It's a very subjective thing.
Right. Yeah.
But you could try and see what people would rate the in-flight experience for movies by, you know, issuing another survey.
Right, and so you follow it up, do some more testing, and then if it does come back that the majority of people have an issue with it, and they solve it.
Exactly.
I wonder how companies deal with, you know, I see a lot, because I follow Twitter, I see a lot of celebrities getting the special treatment, if you like, and I wonder how that is dealt with in the brands you work with. Is that, you know, without being overt, like, these people do have bigger influences, and if you have a bad experience and you have 1 million followers and you tell the world about that, it's a more critical or acute thing that you need to deal with than somebody who's not socially active or tells 2 people. I mean, the impact of that is bigger.
Yeah, no, I understand, but that's very difficult for us to measure once again, because we don't have that unified social media, reach kind of.
So there's a service called Clout. That are ranking people.
And social media.
Yeah, right. So I'm intrigued as to whether Clout can be a real big player. Here they just started offering the first perks to individuals over a certain ranking. So definitely working the customer service stuff. Like if you have somebody with a Clout score over 60 or whatever, then maybe you want to pay extra special attention, or like alarm bells start going off versus a regular person.
As much as we can, we're going to try to make a convergence between the social media part and the actual, brands-related information.
Yep.
And even where we can't do that, we're going to try to increase the value of what social media can bring to, change management or just driving an operational perspective on the whole brand experience. I'd love to, have this. Hey, there's a comment from somebody with a very high Clout score, like a celebrity or whatever, and we'd go in. But still,
future plans.
You have to prove that the influence that person has will have enough, impact on, so that the changes that you make will be
right.
Worth it. So the business case is always very difficult.
Sure.
It's a lot easier to say, hey, this person's spending this much dollars with us.
That's true.
So that's
Yeah, absolutely. How that actually translates to sales and how much the customer is really worth to you.
Yeah, but no doubt. I mean, we've got some really interesting talks that we're doing globally, even with some of the social media players, where we can try and leverage and put our product on top of it, because what we have is something that's quite unique. It's the whole how do you marry verbatim text and being able to drill through the content that's in there, with structured data around customers and transactional experiences. I know some of the telcos in Australia are doing a lot of work around marrying that data up, and
it's obviously a hugely beneficial service to provide, and a number of customers obviously have been seeing successes in that. I wish the best of luck, and hope you enjoy the rest of Tech.Ed.
Thanks.
Thanks very much for your time.
You too.